No man should have survived. The system is flawed, which is why you're going to run these experiments. And if you don't like the results, then what? How is Jen? Things go sour.